University College. Um, when AAU reached out to us to do this partnership, we were very, very excited, and particularly looking at the theme that you were talking about, artificial intelligence in higher education. We thought of no better partnership than this one. Academic City is one of those institutions that we truly believe that if we are going to have those future-ready leaders that can shape and move our continent, we need to start talking about technologies that are going to radically move us forward. And some of these technologies are in artificial intelligence, robotics, and biomedical. And it's because of this dedicated approach that we at Academic City we're the first undergraduate university to offer artificial intelligence as an undergraduate degree on the African continent. And we are very, very excited about that. And we want to use this particular opportunity to welcome you to our campus. And we wish you that you have a great event. As you take some time out, look at our facilities, what we are trying to do here, and tell Africa about us. That there are universities in Ghana who are also doing exceedingly above what everybody imagined. On that note, I want to say thank you and welcome to Academic City.
Thank you, Dr. Lucy Ajepong, for that. Just a moment. When the hunter goes to farm, he doesn't forget his gun and cutlass, right? All right, thank you. So I'm also informed that we have international participants here. So if it's okay, we do a quick roll call. Okay, I'm told we have participants from Namibia. Can I see your hands? Wow, that's beautiful. We have participants from Kenya as well. Anyone from Kenya here? Or they are online? Great. Then from South Africa? Nice, nice. From Nigeria? From Botswana? Wow, that's one person there. That's great. From Mali? Burkina Faso? Bon arrivé. From Togo? Anyone from Togo? Okay. And then, of course, from Ghana? All right. Any country I've missed, if you can just shout it out for me. Yes? Uganda? Oh, wow. That's nice. Any other country? Somalia? Oh, wow. That's nice. Somalia? Tanzania? Oh, wow. And then? Zimbabwe? Okay. Oh, wow. There are lots. You're welcome. Guinea? Guinea? Did you say Guinea? Zimbabwe? Ah, okay. Any other? Yes. Benin? Okay. That's Benin as well. Okay. That's nice. So, pour les francophones qui sont ici, vous êtes bien arrivés. Je suis sûr que vous serez très content que vous êtes ici. I'll stop there. Let's continue. All right. So, having been welcomed, we want to now invite the Director of Research and Programs at AAU to give us the welcome remarks and official address. He's in the person of Professor Frederick Atto Ama. Shall we welcome him for clap?
Hello, good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. And my role here this morning is twofold. First, to welcome you and to give the official address for this main day when it comes to the week-long celebration for the Africa Universities Day. Regarding the former, the MC has already taken the wind out of my sails, so I will not go there. But I'll talk about the second one, that is giving the address on behalf of the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. I was fascinated by some of the machinery and the equipment in the labs. I was peeping through it. You have a very elegant and fantastic campus. And I believe that this is definitely an apt location for us to be holding this ceremony. Then I see you have educating future leaders. Some of the conceptual issues that come to the fore when you talk about the future is when the future begins. The future is now. Because for some of us who arrived about 2 hours earlier, this particular time was in the future, 2 hours ahead. Yes, but here the future beckons, so we need to look at that. We have the possible future, the probable future, the plausible future, all nested, and we need to look at it from that particular perspective. So I'll go on to the address by the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities. The President and Provost, Academic City University College, Senior University Management of Academic City University College, AAU member universities herein present, staff of AAU herein present, faculty and students of Academic City University College, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning once again. My name is Professor Frederick Atwama, the Director of Research and Programs at the Association of African Universities Secretariat here in Accra, Ghana. And I've been asked by the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, Professor Olushola Bandele Oyewole, to represent him at this all-important meeting and to deliver this address on his behalf. And we have met him, so picture him speaking. I bring you warm felicitations from the AAU family. And the AAU, we know, is the voice of higher education in Africa. The Association of African Universities was founded in 1967 in Morocco. And since then, the association provides a platform for research, reflection, consultation, debate, cooperation, and collaboration on issues pertaining to higher education on the continent. It provides a wide array of services with members and serves African higher education institutions in a variety of ways. In particular, the AAU seeks to promote interchange, contact, cooperation among universities and other institutions of higher education in Africa. The AAU also seeks to collect, classify, and disseminate information on higher education and research, particularly in Africa. The AAU also seeks to promote cooperation among African higher education institutions regarding curriculum development, postgraduate training, research, quality assurance, recognition of qualifications, the determination of equivalence of degrees, and other matters of special policy or practical interest to African higher education. The AAU also encourages and empowers members of the association to address developmental challenges and become an effective voice in national, regional, and global higher education discourse. The AAU also studies and makes known the educational and related needs of African universities and other institutions of higher education, and as far as practicable, coordinates the means whereby those needs may be met. And I believe that this forum that we are attending today gives expression to some of these ideals that we have mentioned. In recognition of the pivotal role of emerging technologies, such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, high-performance computing, and 3D printing in higher education, the AAU has chosen the theme, Artificial Intelligence in Higher African Education, to commemorate the African Universities Day celebration this year. Artificial intelligence has become pervasive in the lives of 21st century citizens, and it is being declared as a tool that can be used to enhance and advance all sectors of our lives. AI has implications for admissions, students' retention, teaching, learning, the curriculum, and administrative efficiency. Indeed, it is estimated that AI will create an additional 13 trillion US dollars in global economic activity by 2030. This is just 7 years hence. Being mindful of these trends, skills currently being taught in AI-specific courses in higher education institutions in Africa include application of AI, autonomous driving, electromobility, intelligent transportation, bioinformatics, cloud and distributed computing, coding, programming, and we know several languages, Python, TensorFlow, data analysis and data analytics science, data mining, protection and management, including big data management, data structures and algorithms, data visualization, deep learning, image, text, vision, voice, computing systems, Internet of Things, law of computer technology, leadership management, and startup of AI companies, robotics, and many others. Ladies and gentlemen, today is the climax of the week-long activities marking the African Universities Day celebration. It has been an exciting, thought-provoking, and stimulating encounter since we started. The week began with a student-led discussion forum that sought to explore how students in higher education institutions in Africa are adapting AI technologies. Students from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Ghana, Université Gaston Berger de Saint Louis, Senegal, and Strathmore University, Kenya, showcased their skills and competencies in artificial intelligence. Subsequently, we had a high-level forum for African vice chancellors on AI policy and governance. And here, the emphasis was on the role of government policies and institutional governance in shaping the use of AI in higher education in terms of regulations, standards, and best practices. We then went on to look at a plethora of case studies on AI implementation by African higher education institutions. Here, the University of Ghana, Université Gaston Berger de Saint Louis, Senegal, University of Pretoria, South Africa, Université Mohammed VI Polytechnic, Morocco, and Harare Institute of Technology, Zimbabwe, were in the spotlight. Today, we are at the Academic City University College to have a face-to-face encounter with the university management, faculty, and students of this forward-looking institution. The choice of Academic City University for this event is apt, given that you are driven by discovery and innovation. I took the liberty to peruse their website and also snooped around when I came in. You have indicated that Academic City offers world-class programs in engineering, technology, and entrepreneurship. These programs have been designed to prepare students to think critically, diagnose rationally, and solve creatively. These are the fundamental components to help students understand and develop their potential to become more practical and productive. This is a core skill in the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, universities in the 21st century are evolving towards a more complex outlook, structure, and operation. Furthermore, the higher education landscape in Africa is undergoing transformation. in a wide array of ways. As a result of this evolution, universities must be flexible, exert influence, and be able to forge connections. Indeed, this forum provides a veritable opportunity to realize these goals. May the sessions today be fulfilling for all of us, and may we harness the opportunity to network with the AAU member universities from 12 African countries represented at this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a fruitful deliberation and thank you all for your attention.
It is okay. Once again, can we please give a round of applause for Professor? The possible future, the probable future, those were the things I was picking up from you. So all the P future, okay? And Prof did mention that about, did you say 13 trillion? Or yes, $13 trillion by 2030. It's probably going to be made within the AI space. The question I was asking myself is, hopefully, where will Africa be? Where will Namibia be? Where will Uganda be? Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Botswana? Hopefully, we will have about 5 trillion of that. Do you agree with me? Hopefully. All right. On that note, we want to also take goodwill statements from the AAU regional offices. I believe they've joined us online. And once again, we want to thank those who have joined us also online as well. So we will begin first with the North African Regional Office, hosted by Al-Azhar University, in the person of Professor Aman El Sharif. So Professor Aman El Sharif, are you online? Have you joined us?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so my voice is clear now. Hello, everyone. Greetings from North Africa and specifically from Cairo, Egypt, where we are celebrating the International African Trade Forum with a huge population. And I'm so glad to be with you today. First, I would like to thank the Academic State University College for hosting this important event, and thanks for Professor Oloshola Uole, the Secretary General of AAU, and Professor Frederick, the Director of Research and Programs. I'm so glad to be here because artificial intelligence is crucial right now. Of course, the term is not new. It was coined in 1956 by McCarthy, but right now its meaning is huge. And the need to create categories of artificial intelligence with different disciplinaries is important, specifically in higher education, because with artificial intelligence we can increase and develop and improve the environment of education. But of course, right now the infrastructure is not suitable in many African regions and communities. But thanks for AAU for this opportunity to draw attention to the need to increase the understanding and the power of artificial intelligence in higher education in different contexts. Thank you for the organizers, especially for my sister Nudumu, the director of ICT. Thank you for you presenter for your nice words and comments and reflections. Nice to be with you. We are as Africans so proud to be on the same platform of AAU. Thank you again, and Viva Africa, Viva Higher Education. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Amin El Sharif, for that goodwill message. Also, we will, from the north, we go to the East African Regional Office. If Professor Faisal Osman is online with us, hosted by the University of Khartoum. May we have his goodwill message as well? Professor Faisal Osman.
Yes. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hi, we hear you. If you could please.
Yes, yes. Okay, thank you. Yes, good morning. And,
good morning.
Everybody. His Excellency, the Secretary General of the Association of African University. And
Professor Faisal, could you please increase your voice a bit?
Okay, I will try. Is it okay now?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you very much. His Excellency is the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities and the Director of the Research and the staff of AAU, friends and collaborators from all African countries. Assalamu alaikum. We wish you a success in your recent and future activities, and I wish peace and security for all African and to my beloved country, Sudan. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this year is the artificial intelligence in higher education, which considered as one of the important issues that need to be highlighted specifically in this difficult time in Africa. Actually, during the last years, multiple interrelated crises, such as natural disaster, pandemic, war, and other risks generated by humans, live the planet disaster, which require a new approach, combining thinking, modernized strategies, and techniques, construction and transformation of African higher education institutions. The increase requesting a multitude of the natural risks and those caused by humans require new, quick, and more effective ways to manage the problems. In general, higher education can play a critical and central role in solving most of our critical problems in Africa. As we know, the presented vision of the future of artificial intelligence includes both researcher team and emergence. So, artificial intelligence was first coined on 1956 by John Marcy. Accordingly, and why it has extended to centuries and more from the first, second, and third industrial revolutions with limited attention and emerged for the fourth industrial revolutions has highlighted attention due to the critical role of ICT in accelerating socio-economic development. Artificial intelligence is receiving increasing worldwide attention due to the potential related to innovation and socio-economic development. Ladies and gentlemen, several countries worldwide, including African countries, initiated national artificial intelligence initiative to explore artificial intelligence for their own benefits and to gain a competitive edge in artificial intelligence for future development. Yes.
The sound of your voice has gone low a bit, so if you could please go up a bit.
Okay, is it okay?
Thank you.
Okay. IA currently a leading field in the fourth industrial revolution, and it is receiving increasing worldwide attention due to its great economic developmental potential and promising future lifestyle. For future vision in general, the economists and concerning policymakers estimated that by 2030, artificial intelligence could contribute over 15 trillion to the global economy, with more than 20% increasing in GDP for local economy. Humans and robots were normally to engineer solutions to challenges world problems. In respect of increasing importance of artificial intelligence, some countries have recently initiated national initiatives to explore IA benefits and gaining competitive edge in AU for future development. In addition, sub-regional framework and agreement as created by the economic community, like with the ECOWAS and East African communities, and the Commission Central African States also built an initiative, and also the IGAD in the issue of the development of artificial intelligence. Most countries have protected the legislation's plan. The development of artificial intelligence technology is prospering on the African continent, but policy response are still at their early stage. A new era educational system with alternative learning and intelligent learning, and then as the main continent urgently need to be established. Due to the forecasting contributions and impact of artificial intelligence in future economies, practitioners, the government around the world are attempting to understand its implications and the way through which its development can be achieved. Ladies and gentlemen, actually we need to highlight some important points which need to be considered if we are talking about higher education and its role in the development of artificial intelligence. A new era educational system using interactive learning and intellectual learning as the main content areas we need to be established. And due to forecasting institutions and the impact of AAU for future economics, academics, ways through which is developed can be also designed and implemented. So we need to ensure that national artificial intelligence strategy are guided by ethical principles. And sound approach will be needed to enable Africa, the African nations, to build ecosystems that are exclusive, socio-economically beneficial, and adequately integrated with on-the-ground reality. Modification, modernization of our legislations and governance in African countries is actually needed. Ladies and gentlemen, with particular attention to specific research, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, together with the education for citizenship based on values, rights, and obligations, artificial intelligence should be integrated into national developmental policy and strategy by drawing on indigenous cultural values, knowledge of order to develop African economies. Ladies and gentlemen, as it was mentioned, is the expert and pioneer in this field that we need to explore artificial intelligence carefully. That it's going to meet some very careful regulation from many agencies and many regions. Many of the other promising educational technologies and digital tools haven't really come to pass the many in the majority world. But we are also clear that it's arrived and it's here to stay, and that we should ensure we are on the front foot, and we are anticipating that it might not. We also try to share that is good too. Thank you very much, and we hope that Africa can build and grow up and wake up to strengthening these important issues, which can help and solve most of our problems in Africa. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Faisal Osman. I should admit at this moment we will need an AI tool to make the sound better. So that's up to us. And then lastly, we also like to take a goodwill message from the AAU office in Europe, Professor Juliet Todlana. Please, are you online? If you are, would you please?
Thank you very much. I am. Good morning, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by thanking the organizers for giving us this opportunity to just say a few words at this august occasion. The Association of African Universities Europe Regional Office, hosted by the University of Nottingham in the United Kingdom, wishes to extend our heartfelt congratulations to the AAU Secretariat and member universities on reaching 50 years in the pursuit of academic excellence. These 56 years bear incredible marks of concerted, harmonized efforts of shaking off historical stigmas and repositioning Africa in knowledge production, distribution, and international exchange in the knowledge economy. We would like to applaud the AAU and its member institutions for running the AU Day celebrations under the banner of artificial intelligence in African higher education. And we are thankful for the rich lineup of expertise and the wealth of knowledge that has been shared so far, evidencing Africa's leadership in this field. On our part, we are pleased that the Association of African Universities has partnered with the University of Nottingham and the Ethical Data Initiative in its groundbreaking campaign for the inclusion of ethics in AI and data science education on a global scale. The campaign is important for protecting humanity in the digital in the digital economy. On Friday, we bring you a team of experts who will lead discussion on this critical subject. Please make sure not to miss this session. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Juliet. Hopefully we will not miss that. So those were goodwill messages from the University of Al-Azhar University, University of Khartoum, and then also University of Nottingham. At this moment and at this juncture, I want to believe we are almost at the peak of today's event, where we'll take our keynote address. And our keynote address is going to be given by a very young man. He holds a PhD degree in computer science from the University of Benin, Benin City, Nigeria. He's a recipient of several international awards, including the Alumnus UI MacArthur Scholar, and he's also an Alumnus MIT Scholar. He's also a recipient of the prestigious Fulbright SIR Fellowship, as well as the highly coveted Heidelberg Nobel Laureate Forum Fellowship in Germany. His research works in cybersecurity and allied domains are very cited in and has supported innovative developments globally, earning him recognition as a pioneering scholar in understanding cybersecurity causation, apprehension, and treatments. He's served on several universities in the capacity as head of department, director and member of the governing council. He's also supervised and examined several PhD as well as masters and undergraduates in their studies. He's an external examiner, international collaborator as well. And he's also been named Microsoft's research in the leading experts on privacy and information systems research. He's on the editorial board of several multiple highly rated international journals, and his works have been cited and quoted in several thousand times. He's been mentoring, and his dynamism as well has helped to groom a lot of the younger generation, including me. And currently, he's the Dean of the Faculty of Computational Sciences and Informatics here at Academic City University College. This young man is in the person of Professor Longe Olumide Babatope. Shall we invite him? You will give us the keynote address. My boss, it's your turn.
Thank you very much. I will withhold your query for now. Well, good morning. Iroko trees, they are made from Iroko trees. Legs are made from Iroko trees, so they are very strong. So I'm going to stand on the protocols established by Professor Frederick Atohama, who is a distinguished professor I know by reputation. We know each other. We just don't get to put the face to the voice, but this is an opportunity to do that. I want to consider it a very great privilege and also a bit overwhelmed by the opportunity, not just to speak to this forum, but speaking to the entire Africa. And points like this in my career are always watershed points. I hope Academic City will be able to take what comes next after this. Usually when I have forums like this to address, it looks like a farewell speech. So that's and usually I don't like surprises as well. So I'm trying to prepare their mind that anything can come after this. Again, looking at the team before us today, which is artificial intelligence. I used to ask myself, especially when I was at MIT, whether intelligence can actually be artificial. Because by denotation and connotation, what we call artificial seems not to be real. It seems unreal. It seems something that is unreal, something that we can't really count on so much. But we find ourselves where we find ourselves. I think there is an abnormality in naming this particular domain. I think also that the pioneers weren't so sure of how far this will go. I think if we are to name it today, we probably would name it complemental intelligence, or rather than artificial intelligence. And so I reflected on it over time and said, calling it artificial intelligence speaks volumes, especially to the grammarians who probably would ask us, why are we gathering over something that is artificial? All over the world, from Niger to Zimbabwe, to Rwanda, to Malawi, to Ghana, Nigeria, all of us are gathered about something that is actually artificial. But this is where we find ourselves, and we will do justice to it. I want to move the slide. Okay. Protocol has been established. While going on, let me also recognize the president of Academic City University College, who is a very passionate enthusiast of artificial intelligence. By dint of his interests and passion, an artificial intelligence program is established in this university. Not just an artificial intelligence program, we also have another program in robotics engineering. There's a handshake between those two programs. And one thing you will also have to understand about this university is that we run what is called unified teaching. I'll get there. And so every student that goes through our program here will have to take a course in leadership. They will have to take courses in Python. They will have to take courses in entrepreneurship. They will have to take courses in IT, technology and society. And so these courses prepare all of them at the baseline to be able to have a feel and a touch of the direction that technology is going. I want to appreciate the president of Academic City University College, Accra, Ghana, Professor Fred Magbangolurin, on whose pleasure I serve as Dean of the Faculty of Computational Science and Informatics, and who passed the baton of this particular speech to me. I want to also appreciate the entire AAU headquarters for finding me worthy to hold the microphone here today to do justice to this particular topic. I want to appreciate the executive secretary of the association, and that is Professor Olushola Bandele Oyewole, a Yoruba man like me, I think. The name speaks volume. And of course, the president, Usman, who is also the president of the AAU. I want to appreciate everybody who has traveled far and wide to be here. I see my brother Chidi in the forum. I appreciate him from the National Open University of Nigeria. I have worked with National Open University of Nigeria since 2006. I don't know if you are in employment by that time. And up to today, we are still working together. I look so young, like Julius has said, but I'm beginning to feel it now. I'll be 52 next year. My age is deceitful. My look is a bit deceitful. You know, at 52, you begin to feel it little by little. Of course, when I was at MIT also, my landlady, her name was Eve, and she was 70. And at 70, she went to pick up a PhD application form in Harvard. She actually read English language, and she wanted to do a PhD in physics. Yeah. And she worked for a journal called the Annals of Physics. And we were 13 scholars staying at 144 Pemberton Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And the house was built in, as at the time we were there, the house was 380 something years old. If you had been to my village or some of our villages in the Volta region as well, I think, you will find houses that has wood as the decking. We call it decking in Nigeria, where I come from. And that house was a designated United Nations heritage building. And so we were 13 scholars there sharing toilets, bathrooms. We had what we call the yellow house laws and things like that. And so I went to her and I asked her, why would you on earth go and pick a PhD form in physics when your background is English? And she made a very profound statement. She told me that every course of study is a language. English is a language. Physics is a language. What you need to understand is the language. Once you understand the language, you will excel in that field. And I agree with her. I agree with her. And so on that note, is a writer, artificial intelligence is a language. It's a language. Once you understand that language, Lloyd, yeah. It's a language. If I go to Medina, I'm a Nigerian, but when they notice my intonation anyway, but when I say etise, the response is different because I understand the language. I told my children in the US, everybody says I. I said, don't greet people I. I've lived in the US, I understand the environment a little. Don't greet anybody I. When you want to greet, say, good morning, sir. How are you today? How are you doing? How is your family? You are not being intrusive. They will stop and give you the attention that you needed. And that is what is exactly happening to them. Within the last 1 month, my kids have been best student in the school, star student of the week, and everybody is wondering what is happening. They just came, they've spent like 2 or 3 weeks or months. It's because I taught them. It's a language. You have to understand the environment you are growing in. You have to understand the generation you find yourself in. I once had an elderly person around me who is highly educated, but cannot use the remote control. I'm talking about 10, 20, 18 years ago. Can't use remote control. Highly educated. Because many a times, respect or regard, even for an inanimate object, can translate to fear. I did a postgraduate diploma in education, which I did not collect the certificate anyway. And I did a thesis, and the thesis was titled Technophobia and its impact on adults learning how to use computers. So respect can translate to fear. Admiration can translate to fear. Regard can translate to fear. Between the older generation and the younger generation, I have seen it. Prof, my father died at 83. There was never a day in his lifetime that he sat me down and told me, this is how to undo a woman. I had to learn from experience. Unfortunately for me, I know I have about 40 minutes. We'll do justice. We are talking about artificial intelligence. Unfortunately for me, all my direct junior ones were boys. The very last one that I'm older than with about 18 years is the only girl. So I had to learn how to relate with the female folks. I had to make mistakes over and over again. In our generation, respect translates to fear. And it creates a mental block that doesn't allow the older generation to pass even anything at all to the younger generation. All we know, we read in books. All we know, we learn in churches. All we know, we learn in the mosque. All we know, we learn in school. it is different in the times and days that we live in. If that is the way we are to go, we will create a serious problem for the upcoming generation. Because the artificial intelligence that has become a buzzword is coming with a lot of unintended consequences. And so if we are marching this march and we are running this race, there are collaterals and ancillaries that must go with it. Fortunately for us, Africa is not just going to do a catching up game here. We're going to be leapfrogging. We're going to be leapfrogging. And while we are leapfrogging, it means that we are jumping over some established sequences through which we will have garnered some knowledge, skills, and associated insights that will have helped our leapfrogging. We will leapfrog over them, and then we'll begin to face challenges. Just like the challenges we faced with the older technology. Somebody say, why doesn't technology work in Africa? Because technologies that we use in Africa were not made by Africans for Africans. There is a difference between functional literacy and operational literacy. I used to ask my students, I teach operating systems. Operating systems, you use it every day on your phone, Android and all that. It boots up the computer, it boots up the phone. It brings the phone to a point where you can use it, you can utilize it. It shows that the phone is what? Functioning. It doesn't tell you whether the phone is operating or not. If you want to use WhatsApp on that phone, you must what? Install it. So operational literacy is different from functional literacy. My grandmother knows how to make this locust bean stew. Very sweet, but she can't make jollof rice. The issue of collaboration, which we are going to emphasize at the end of this particular presentation, beyond the issue of abilities, beyond the issue of resources, beyond the issue of intertertiary collaboration, beyond the issue of this is like the case of a pastor who is preaching and light goes off. Who is anointed? Is it the microphone or the man? So, as I'm saying, this thing is not working. I hope I'm still in order. It's not. Well, looking at the mission and the vision of, okay, I think it's back on now. After my salutations, I want to take a conscious detour. The beauty of what we are doing today is that AAU is fulfilling its mandate. Because I read through the vision, which says that it has to be a leading advocate for higher education in Africa with the capacity to provide support for its member institutions in meeting national, continental, and global needs. There is no discourse that has any semblance of sanity today that will not touch on artificial intelligence. It runs us. Jonah must have had a lot of problem explaining to his wife how he spent, is it 5 or 7 days in the belly of the fish? How do you explain that? This year, I got an email that told me, or a text message that told me that my flight from Lagos to Abuja has been rescheduled. And I was right here in Ghana. I didn't book a flight. To enhance the quality and relevance of higher education in Africa and strengthen its contribution to Africa's development. So I look at this year's theme, which says artificial intelligence in African education institutions underscores the critical need for HEIs in Africa to adopt progressive strategies to guide the usage and integration of emerging technologies such as AI and the use of these opportunities to improve educational outcomes. The AAU is doing what it was established to do. But there's a limit to which the AAU can go. People say you can take a horse to the river or water or pool, but you can't force the horse to drink. It also shows that AAU remain focused on its vision and mission, not only to advocate for higher education in Africa, but also to enhance the quality and relevance of higher educational outputs by the promotion of cutting-edge tools and methods utilized in teaching, research, and community development. This thing doesn't work well, and it's going to slow us down here. Looking at artificial intelligence, or maybe I'm the one not pointing it well, there are a lot of forums going on in the world. In August 2023, the African Center for Economic Transformation report was released. It was titled, How Africa Can Benefit from Artificial Intelligence, AI Solutions for African Challenges. It identifies several gaps. There will always be gaps. This is what I tell my children all the time, my students, you people I mentor. There will always be gaps. From the beginning of our life till the end, there will always be gaps. I was told the story of a very important man in a community who was so impactful, everybody loves him. And on his deathbed, he was asked a very important question. Sir, you have lived a good life. You have enjoyed the ambience of society. People love you, they care about you and things like that. Is there really anything in life that if you look back, you will say, in this area, you did not do well? There was a gap. They were asking him what the gap was. Perhaps there will be several gaps, but he picked on one. He said God told him, because he's a prophet, he's an Islamic cleric. He said God told him that his life is a fertile ground, but he prevented people from planting into that life because each time he does something good to someone and the person wants to give him a gift or something, he said, I don't want it. So he denied so many people over the course of his lifetime the opportunity to reap very good fruits from the land that God has made his life to be. There will always be gaps. When you look at this report, there was a gap there. Very clearly, the report did not even allude to the role of higher education in shaping the direction of AI utilization and diffusion, as well as policy implementation. So there will always be gaps. Sometimes those who are stakeholders, who are the drivers of a technology, that's why we talk about unintended consequences. If we don't come together and look at it holistically, these issues are not issues that computer science or IT or AI as a field can sit down with all alone. People wrote an entire report and never mentioned once higher education. When you go to the 2022 report by EFRIX, it identified usually poverty, lack of resources, corruption, outdated government policies as responsible for the slow pace of technology growth in Africa. There will always be gaps. There will always be gaps. And that is where the HE comes in. When you look at the report of 2019, the same thing. Distance from the technology frontier. How could Africa catch up via social, institutional factors and human capital? It will be very funny to you what the next report I want to talk about says. It says Africa was technologically behind the rest of the world because of the Sahara Desert. For those of us who have had the opportunity of flying between West Africa and the Northern Africa, the other time I flew to Cairo. Usually if I'm going to the US, I like to fly Royal Air Maroc. So I flew to Morocco also. And then once you pass Ghana here a little, you enter the Sahara Desert, you see how really, really extreme that is. From top there, everything is just plain desert. Critical technology needed to develop other technologies like writing systems and the wheel, for instance, failed to reach sub-Saharan Africa from the Mesopotamian civilization just because there is a what? Sahara Desert. There's a desert. It's interesting. And when you look at it, large technology and innovation gap, I'm talking about gaps. There will always be gaps. And that is where the higher educational system has to come in. To close these gaps, for many of them, we can't play a catching up because they're already behind us. The rate at which the technology is advancing is so astronomical that before you wake up in the morning, another one has come. I was in the US, I saw Alexa, Siri, I ask them, what is the weather going to be by 2 p.m.? They tell me. Others are coming up every day. When you look at the work of Shakrofi and his team, they point to the many opportunities that the continent has. One, we have a younger population. I had an interaction last week, and I was talking to a particular set of people who just established a university, and they were trying to hire people into the environment. And I told them, one of the key things that you must look for, as against our own generation, madam, in our generation, ambition is a sin. They say it's so ambitious. I want people who are ambitious around me. Lloyd, we sat here this morning. A couple of minutes ago, you said you want to be like me. What did I tell you?
I should be better than you.
I want ambitious people around me. Ambition is not a sin. Once it is balanced with integrity, character, novelty, gentleness, meekness, it's not a sin. We have a young group, a population of young people in Africa. We need to put ambitiousness into their head. When I was at the University of Ibadan, I was a very young lecturer. And my head of department was Professor Adenike Oshobison. When I have 20 minutes left, you let me know. And in a meeting, we had an argument. And we were appealing to one of our colleagues to move a particular student from 37 to 38. 40 is the pass mark. We're not asking for 40 here. We're asking to move a student from 37 to 38 so that the departmental board can take a decision and move every 38 and 39 to what? To 40. And he refused. And he refused. This is the higher education terrain where we have found ourselves. An environment that consumes its inhabitant. An environment that doesn't go out to look for the one that is lame. Rather, they will use a stick to break that leg. An environment that does not synchronize with the resources, the challenges, and the idiosyncrasies in the society around us. A student of mine here some 2 years ago wanted to do a research, and he went online looking for data. And I told him, when you drop at Asore Junction, between Asore Junction and here, there are some farmers planting lettuce. Go and ask them what their problems are, and let's solve the problem. It mustn't be white to be right. Quote me. It does not have to be difficult to make sense. It does not have to be complex to make meaning. There are problems that are with us here. We can solve them. We don't have that luxury again of somebody somewhere coming to think for us on how to solve our problems. The war between Israel and Palestine is there. The one in Ukraine is going on. Ukrainians don't have time to think about Africa's problem. The ecosystem in Africa, when I have 20 minutes, you let me know. I can stop at any point. This is the ecosystem in Africa. We have technology, we have devices, we have services, we have applications, we have end users. Our students, there is nothing I'm doing in academic city, university, college, if there are no students here. Sometimes I weep, Prof. The number of students that have passed through me in about 18 or 20 years period of teaching, some Muslim clerics or preachers in the Christian environment will not encounter 1/10 of that population till they die. The volume of people that pass through us, Julius, there is no student that has been on this campus that has not passed through you. Academics is not a job. Neither is it a vocation. It's a calling. Before us, universities were established. Sir, most of the problems we have today, even in Africa, were cooked, baked, and served by our universities. The corruption in leadership, all these people, they pass through the university system. What did we put in their head? That you are first does not mean you are the best. I can be an academic giant and be a marital failure. When we teach in our teaching, research, and learning spaces, We must teach about what? Life. I spoke with one of my students yesterday. I said, you will not hear this one in class. This is Life 101. Under the tree of life. They know me. When you meet me under that tree, I speak life into you. He's going to have an extra year, and he's struggling with it. And I told him, sit down. When I got married, I didn't have kids. 7 years. I have friends who 20 years in Nigeria, 20 years. The two of them are professors. 20 years. Gave birth 3 or 4 years ago. My friends. And for my own 7 years after this 7 year, the first set came, they were twins. 7 years again, another set came, they were twins. Now I've hung my boot. I'm handing over to you. So in our space, as institutions, the rubrics that we need to take a leadership role in the AI space, they are in our hands. These students are like whiteboards. Whatever you write on them, they run with it. They're not thinking about paying school fees for their children. They're not thinking about paying house rent yet. So they have a space within them that can accommodate and tolerate the development paradigms that we put into them. And that's the point I'm trying to make. As institutions in Africa, beyond our curriculums, beyond the intensity and the draconian nature of the contents that we serve, we must look beyond that to contextualize the problems that we have in Africa and be able to find appropriate and relevant solutions to them. Unfortunately, my professor, some of these solutions, they are in skirmishes of places. And that's where the African Association of African University also comes in again. There is a professor in Benin Republic who is leading in his area. There is a student struggling in Ghana. Why can't we award joint degrees? Why can't we award joint degrees? What is wrong with it? My colleagues at Ibadan went to France. They went to France. I've forgotten the name of the university now. And University of Ibadan and that university awarded a joint degree. If the domain experts are in Ghana, and there's a student showing interest in that particular domain in Niger or Rwanda, why can't we bring that student here to come and spend a semester? And then we share the points. We take the credit. When I was working at the American University of Nigeria in Yola, our students go on summer programs. I've not seen it in mostly in our public institutions. They go for summer programs, they come back with the credit, and we take it in, it counts for them. And by so doing, they are able to, embed themselves into the culture of that environment. I'm dressed like a Ghanaian today, and I'm enjoying myself. They said I was born on Friday. I am Kofi. I don't want to bother us with too many things. Let me try to round up so that we can have time for other things I want to do. For universities, what we need to do to catalyze innovation, the government and regulatory bodies should implement processes through which the power of their public procurement budget can be harnessed to create strong incentives to draw more strongly on the university skills and knowledge base. When we were at MIT at the Sloan Business School, we had a conversation every Wednesday. It's not a class. We don't get credit for it. Everything about a university is not the transcript. I've not said anything. I just heard you saying, Prof, I have produced first class over the years. I finished with a second class lower. When I went to the Polytechnic, I finished with a lower credit. And I'm here today. My professorship was early by standard of computer science, 40. In fact, when the University of Ibadan employed me, usually you will see University of Ibadan will not employ somebody who doesn't finish. What? Do too, school too, me too, draw. There's no quarrel. There are other things to do. University education is not all about transcripts. Julius, we had a young man on our campus. His name is Nazo. Nazo can sing. His parents felt that if he did business administration or entrepreneurship, he would have too much time to be doing his singing and he will not do well in his studies. Nazo did IT and finished with the first class. I don't even know his student ID. Universities, and on this campus, we help them to fan that potential to flames. University is not all about transcripts. Of course, for Facebook, we learned it didn't finish. And we all are using it today. So we need to be able to draw skills. Whoever comes into that environment, there's a seed of greatness in everybody that comes through the environment. I'm not talking about only the academic or students. I'm talking about both teaching and not teaching staff, because AAU addresses all the components of the university, the university system. Improving interactions between businesses and university. I'm so proud of Ghana. I'm so proud. When I passed through, I was trying to go to, I think, Gimpa, this Westland side, and I saw this University of Ghana School of Engineering and Toyota Ghana workshop. Collaboration. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. Collaboration with industry. At Sloan, they bring people every Wednesday to talk to us. They are not university professors. They are not scholars. They bring a farmer from Ohio to talk to us. They bring a mechanic to talk to us. And by talking to us, we benefited. We're able to identify the problems they are facing and tune our research towards that direction to be able to solve problems for society. Universities are established for teaching, research, and community development, not just to pass and fail students. We have a lot of startups in the area of artificial intelligence. Even here in Ghana, in Malawi, in Uganda, I watch TV. I see young people coming up with these things excellently. I'm proud of Benin Republic. I'm proud of Togo. When I pass through those countries by road at times, I see young people, immigration, young people. In my country, a man who is 76 has already changed his age, is 51. Too. Nigeria produced me. As we evolve in this space, Julius, I'm waiting for you to point me. How many minutes do I have? Oh, good. There are things that we must be conscious of. Just like the speaker from the northern part of Africa said the other time. There is a theory called the precautionary theory, which says that development of technologies and AI ecosystem promotes the inoculation of safe and ethical practices that ensure safety and well-being of users. We talk about ethical AI. We must inculcate it into our curriculum because it will come with a lot of issues left, right, and center. I'm hoping in the nearest future, when my wife doesn't have time to cook, she will tell Alexa or Siri to make the meal for me. Today, we have, I've forgotten the name of that one. That one that is now a woman. Artificial intelligence, a robot that is a woman. So if you don't want to marry, you can just marry that robot. It's coming up now. And so if we are not careful, we're going to produce a generation of people that are devoid of emotions, that are devoid of empathy, that are devoid of concerns. Prof, in those days, at the airport, when flights are delayed, all of us are talking. We're discussing, we exchange cards. What do we do these days? Everybody's on their phone. Everybody's on their phone. Let me not go. We can share this one. I will close somewhere here. For us to make progress as higher educational institutions in Africa with artificial intelligence, we must enshrine determinism. My father was a barber. My mother was a tailor. In fact, there was a prophecy that I will end up as a bus conductor, and it happened. It happened. I was a bus conductor at a point in time. So there's no prophecy that can keep you down. Beyond that prophecy, I went ahead. Determinism. The prophecy came to pass. I was a bus conductor, Lloyd. So don't call the man that's giving that prophecy evil. Take it as a challenge. Determinism. We must be determined. For those who are not determined, the rain will pass that rain stop, and they will have to catch up with it. In this quest, you can't afford to be passive. If you are passive, if we are passive, AAU is passive, we're not making deliberate, conscious effort to push, there will be those who want to drag us back. Definitely, they're always there. But we must make up our mind that we want to achieve something with these technologies as institutions in Africa. God the Almighty says in the Quran, Don't fear tumult or oppression, which affect not in particular only those of you who do wrong. And know that God is strict in punishment. See what God is saying there. See how God the merciful is warning us that misconduct doesn't just affect the ones that do it, but it has a wider range, wider impact. We are moving this train, move it with us. When we are saying ethical practices, add your voice. We have those who will not say a word in any meeting. It's not right. You are not dumb. You are not deaf. The companion of the messenger of God, that is the companion of the prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, "We will be destroyed, even if the righteous ones are among us." The prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied and said, "If corruption increases," that's one of the gaps that was mentioned earlier on. If corruption increases, it was also reported that God ordered Angel Gabriel, I'm quoting from the Quran, the Hadith now, to destroy a village that has become extremely corrupted. But Gabriel took a caution and went back to God and said, "In this village is your servant that constantly prays to you." It's beyond praying. What did God say? Read it, Lloyd.
Start with him.
God said, start with him. He knows how to pray, but it's beyond prayer. Start with him. For his face never changed with disapproval to what had been going on. He was passive. When we say, teach our students how to utilize technology for the good of mankind, add your voice. When professors are seated with a tongue of arrogance and refusing to promote an assistant lecturer who has put in the time and the energy and the resources that demands for him to be promoted, put your voice, he has to be promoted. There's a place for motivation. There's a place for encouragement. Promotion is not all about publication. Like in Africa, we make it so loud, publish and perish. There are those who will not publish and they will not perish. I want to talk about, since I have gone to the Quran, let me also come to the Bible so that I can balance it. I'm already traditional in my outfit. In those days, I know 5 minutes more. Hezekiah became ill and was at the point of death. So a prophet went to him and said, God said, put your house in order, like I'm telling us today. Because you are going to die, you will not recover. Hezekiah said, go and beg God for me. Then God said, I'm adding 15 years to your life. In those 15 years, which is the opportunity that we have today, this is like the 15 years of Hezekiah, to build up, to lay a foundation, to help the upcoming generation, to give a legacy. In those 15 years, Hezekiah did nonsense with those 15 years. Sir, your parents are my parents. They are aliens to this technology. Do you agree with me? You and I were immigrants. But these students that we teach, they are natives. But we must guide them. Hezekiah said, the message you have given me is from the Lord. For the king was thinking, at least there will be peace and security during my time. I will close in this. If we're not careful, Africa, we are always talking about colonialism. Colonialism, as if we are the only ones that were colonized. For you to know I'm ready to stop, take. Some years back, I went to talk at the Martin Luther King Day in Baton Rouge, and I told them, when the white came to Africa, it was our fathers that sold us to them. It was not the white that just came to our compound and started picking people. Who is even white? There's no human being that is this color now. Why are we calling anybody white? Well, let me not go that one today. Now, those who were taken as slaves from Elmina Castle, from Oida, they were the strong people. The ones who were left behind mostly are the weak ones. We are the offspring of those weak ones. Those ones abroad, they are the offspring of the strong ones. Yet, you will not see them doing well. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. You will not see them in class. You will not see them in the library. You will not see them anywhere. The only place you see them is the cafeteria or the football pitch. And they keep on like that. They are still mentally what? Colonized. Mental colonization is evident in some of our higher educational institutions. That is why an accreditation team will come and will show them 1 million ebooks and they are still looking for 1 billion additional physical books. Mental colonization. The best of the technology, they are coming from that side, and we are doing nothing about it. Sometimes I cry. My brother wakes up in Ghana, yes, 4 a.m. in the morning. He's doing Uber, and he's going to work till about 7, 8, 9, 10 in the evening doing Uber. And somebody is sitting down in Europe because he wrote a code, he's taking 25% of that money. Why can't we have Ghana right? It has to be white to be right. It doesn't have to. A lot of capital flight taking place, in our immediate environment, just because we are mentally colonized. If we are not careful, there will be digital colonization. What we do with the technology will determine whether we are going to be liberated. Kwame Nkrumah is long gone. It's not going to deliver us from that one. Bafemi Awolowo is gone. It's not going to deliver us from that one. Julius, I want to close in 2 minutes. Now, talking about mental colonization and digital colonization, the direction to go is to look inwards and see areas where artificial intelligence can help and assist our immediate environment and utilize the skills and the opportunities that we have around us to provide such solutions. Let me close by proposing some ideas to AAU. As a body, AAU should encourage intra and inter-university collaborations in cutting-edge and contemporary research areas. AAU should have a repository of domain experts, whereas if I'm looking for someone, I can quickly find the person. AAU should encourage joint award of certificate. I mentioned it earlier on. University level competitions like the ones you have held, it doesn't have to be only during our celebration like this. We can do it sometimes. A bird that flies on the earth and lands on an anthill is still on the ground. Concluding remarks. As universities, we must serve as a common thread that connects the actors of the AI ecosystem across the ecosystem within and outside Africa. We must develop coherent long-term vision and plan for the use of technology, as well as policies that balances out the risk of these technologies in ensuring that models adopted for them are equitable, they are inclusive, and they are valuable. We must engage in collaboration that contributes to the development and use and adoption of AI in our university and drives us towards Africa's development. I'll close with a quote from the man I love so much, the late Excellency Dr. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. And he said, and I quote, "In matters of development and progress, we face neither the East, nor the West, nor the South, nor the North. We face forward." Thank you very much for your time. We face neither East, West, South, or North. We face forward. On that exciting note, I hope you don't mind giving a clap once again too. At this moment, we're going to have a further discussion, a high panel discussion on the keynote address. And I would like to invite the moderator, who is the Senior Communications and Publications Officer of AAU. She's in the person of Mrs. Felicia Nkrumah Wagbeji, to help us introduce our panel, and she will be the moderator. Shall we welcome her?
Thank you very much, Mr. Julius, and thank you to all once again. I believe we've had a very wonderful session this morning, which has been quite packed. So before we start the next major activity, we'd like to have invite the cultural troupe to give us some traditional performance. Let's all relax, dance a bit, enjoy the performance, and then the next session will kickstart right away. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was a beautiful performance. We are really proud of our African heritage and our tradition. I would like to encourage our to try and learn some. Felicia Nkrumah-Kwagbeji, and I work with the Association of African Universities. The organizing team has put together a very strong, powerful list of panelists who would be taking us through the next session. We have 6 of them who were selected to serve specific roles. So on that note, I would like to move in straight to invite and to introduce our panelists for this session. First panelist is a person who, of course, I don't need to introduce because we've all been engaged with him earlier today. He's in the person of Professor Olumide Longe, who is the Dean of the Faculty of Computational Sciences and Informatics. So Prof is joining us again, serving from the point of view of a university management and governance perspective. So he will be engaging with discussions related to governance. The next panelist is Mr. Lloyd Thompson, who is an AI, machine learning, and robotics lecturer here at the Academic City University College. And he will be stepping in from a university faculty perspective as well as a teaching and research perspective. He would be talking to us about how we can leverage AI in teaching and research. And then our next panelist, we are humbled to have Mr. Kofi Dazi, who is joining us as an industry expert. And then we also have Mr. Daniel Govu, who would be joining us virtually. And so I think the technical team would project him as well. Mr. Daniel Govu is a panelist who is joining us from Great Zimbabwe University in Zimbabwe, and he is the IT director. Then we also have a student panelist. Please come up, Mr. Ayiram Kujo. He is a level 300 BSc Artificial Intelligence student at Academic City University College. Just to give you a bit of a background about who our panelists are, I think I won't go through Prof's own because it was earlier read by the MC. Mr. Lloyd, like I mentioned, he's an AI, machine learning, and robotics lecturer at the Academic City University College. He's a dedicated computational science lecturer here who is passionate about shaping the next generation of AI and machine learning experts. His teaching portfolio includes courses on AI, machine learning, and robotics, and he takes pride in empowering students with the knowledge and skills to excel in this dynamic field. In his academic journey, he has immersed himself in the exciting world of AI, representation, and problem solving, particularly focusing on cutting-edge research in unsupervised key points, representation learning, dynamic modeling, and control. I think I introduced him earlier. And then I had also called Mr. Kofi Dazi, who is joining from the industry perspective. He is a technology strategy and risk governance consultant and advisor of public and private institutions. He consults as a tech policy advisor with the Tony Blair Global Institute and serves as a non-executive director on the boards of ICT Asset Managers, MTN Ghana, and Impact Life Insurance. He's a co-founder and former CEO of Rankard, where he led the company to earn a patent in contextual data graphs applied in conversational AI. Kofi also served on Ashesi University's Corporate Advisory Council, a startup mentor with Founder Institute, and helped develop strategy at the MasterCard Foundation to empower young Africans in digital economy. Mr. Kofi. And then we have our students. Of course, I think I'm particularly excited that we have the younger generation with us, engaging in the discussions. It's really important that we hold these discussions with them and not finish the discussion before we pass it on to them. Eiram Kojo Akligo is a level 300 BSc Artificial Intelligence student at Academic City University College. He worked as an IT technical support specialist at Mobile Web Ghana, where he further developed a deep passion for this field. Currently, he's working on a cancer detection machine learning project driven by his dedication to using AI for a greater purpose. He's on a transformative journey to shape the future of technology and make a meaningful impact. To our online panelists, we have two people joining us online. I think I had earlier introduced panelists from the great Zimbabwe University. We also have Dr. Gingadip Singh, who is a senior publisher in STEM with the Taylor and Francis Group in India. And he has nearly a decade of experience with Taylor and Francis and with publication. He has over 500 published books, 700 signed books, and he's been at the leadership of an editorial team specializing in maths, statistics, chemical, plant, and life sciences. He holds a PhD in forensic chemistry. He's in the person of Dr. Gingadip Singh, as I mentioned earlier. Without further ado, I think I will take my seat and then we can move in straight into the discussions. A very warm welcome to all of us. We'd have a discussion here and would all have to listen quite closely so that after the discussion, we can follow this with a question and answer session where we'll get the opportunity to engage with our panelists. So the topic for this session is AI enhanced learning environment, how AI technologies can be integrated into traditional classrooms and online learning platforms to enhance learning experience. And I think we need to kick off this discussion from the very high level, because we can have all the good intentions, we can have all the good plans, but without a strong governance and support system at the very top, there's very little that we can do. So on that note, maybe I'll throw the first question to Professor Longi for him to really tell us about how AI is being incorporated into educational policy. How has the landscape fashioned out in Africa? And what are even some of the key challenges at the very top as we try to ensure that all the key things, be it curriculum, be it, how we structure our various university systems are being aware of artificial intelligence, and we are taking deliberate steps to ensure that at the policy level, AI is being considered as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Naomi. Well, looking at it from the governance angle, there are things we have to realize. Thank God, university administrators, you had meetings, sessions with them 2 days back. There is the budgeting aspect of it, because everything boils down to money at times. It's just like IT ordinarily. In most universities where I've worked, apart from here and AUN, we have had a lot of challenges, pushing budgets for IT. People will ask you, why are we using 10 million, 3 million to buy bandwidth in a month or in 2-3 months? So universities have to make sure that budgeting covers things that has to do with AI. Usually when you talk about AI, people are looking at the technology. Many times these technologies are not tangible things you can hold. It's easy to allocate money to tangible things. You want to buy a car for a vice chancellor or a dean, you want to buy a physical computer and things like that. But some of these things are things that you can't even hold in your hand. But you will see their results. I just got a message now from one of our platforms here at Academic City telling me that some students are at risk in operating systems and in software engineering. which means they're somewhere they're supposed to have visited for, resources that they have not visited. So these are some of the things that AI does. You're asking about the utilization of AI for policy. These are some of the areas where AI works. AI can help us with evaluating students, projecting, final grades, talking about their welfare in the hostel, talking about students who are at risk, talking about students who will likely drop out. So AI can help us in these different areas. We talk about enrollment. Which secondary schools are giving us the best of students? You just told me this morning that we have some very good students. Where are those students coming from? Students who are doing very well, which schools are they coming from? What can we further do to support that school? If there are students who are showing interest in AI from that particular school, why are they showing interest? These are some of the things that AI can help us to do. And in doing that, the kind of system that does that they are called recommender systems. This system use, I don't want to go into the technicality of it, they can draw inferences from experience, from exposure, from data that we provide to them. They can give us inferences. So management at the top level have to show deliberate conscious interest in utilizing the feedbacks from AI for the good of the system, and also have regard for those who are knowledgeable in that area. Sometimes you can have an entire council of a university, and there is nobody amongst them that even understands computing or IT. In that case, that is governance. That's the highest level of governance. In that case, governance at that level needs to bring people in who can provide them insight, ideas, explain to them the benefits, the challenges that the university can face if they are not utilizing that particular thing. And it also has to do with where does the university want to be? I interacted with somebody on Saturday, and the person asked me a specific question about ranking, university ranking. Academic City University College, today we are number 2 in Ghana. We are number 15 in the sub-region. How did we get to number 2? What were the parameters? Other universities should be interested in that. Our president went to Makerere University in Uganda, I think, and saw some things. And he came back here to tell us that he wants us to beat them at that. So these are some of the things that AI can do for us. We can draw inferences. Why is Stellenbosch doing what they are doing? What is working for them? What is working for ESTG in Benin? So at the level of governance, finances comes in, because you can't push technology without conscious effort to want to push to the top also comes in. Conscious effort to want to be among the leading university also comes in. If they're making a lot of noise about AI, you want some of those noise to also come from you. And if it's not coming from you, then there's something that you need to check. I don't know if I'm answering your questions the way you want me to answer them, but I feel that governance will have to take deliberate, conscious effort to show interest in this direction. They will have to show interest also in utilizing feedbacks from AI systems. They will have to also show interest in utilizing data analytics provided by AI system for the benefit and for the greater good of the system that they govern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that was really informative. Maybe I would come to Mr. Lloyd at this point. As a faculty, as a researcher who has been in this space before the disruption really kickstarted, what has changed, and how exactly has AI been leveraged, or how are we leveraging AI as academic faculty in our teaching and in our research?
Okay, thank you. So AI is actually redefining how we do things in the university. What I mean is that the conventional way we teach, AI is disrupting all of that. And what that means is that it comes with its pros and cons. And we need to leverage, like a prof said, leverage on the good things and actually build on it. AI is not only helping us do the research, but it's also affecting our students. You can see that in every class, you can see that students are more attached to their phones. What does that mean? That means that there are algorithms that's actually picking on their interests and trying to feed them what they want. So they are now, that's the main challenge that we are looking at now. Even if there's a student or some students cannot put their phone for less 30 minutes, just that the system that we are building is feeding on their interest. It's feeding them exactly what they need. So we as lecturers, AI is helping us to be able to build the content. I mean, restructure the code, even if you want to build a code base, something that you can do in months, you can just do it within a few seconds. What that also means that the students also have access to some of this. We need to be intelligent in how to grade them. All these things come with some of the challenges that we are looking at.
Just follow up on that. There is some concern about the ethical aspect. there's some concern about the quality of students that would be coming out soon because they have AI platforms and, you know, artificial intelligence mechanisms doing a lot of the things for them. Like now you can actually write a whole thesis and things in a very short period. So there's a bit of a concern about the quality of students that will be coming out. What would you have to say about that?
Yes, with the quality, I don't think that will be compromised in the sense that the way we approach the marking or the way we grade the students needs to change. That means that every question that you give needs to be practical as possible. We don't just give them definitions and they go and copy it and bring it to you. And when they bring it to you, you don't just take it and then that is it. You have to go further for them to justify what they brought. Because I assume that every question that I'm asking you, you're going to ask something. You're going to ask a chatbot. Yes, the chatbot may give you the solution, but you need to justify it. You need to walk me through what you do. You need to tell me the best way that we can check the integrity is let the student talk about it. And most of the times that somebody will bring a grade and you mark it and you say like this excellent, but you ask them a question on it and they are not able to. They right away you just reject it. So it's going to be difficult. There are also systems that will also tell you whether whatever they produce is coming from another chatbot. That's another generative models that we can also look at. So we need to just weigh it and just see how we can make use of it. And I think it's helping. So far, like I said, there are no policy that is guiding it now. That means that we've opened the floodgates. Anything is possible, but we as educators, we want to make sure that there are avenues or there are streams that we're able to check some of this and mitigate the concerns that will come with it.
Okay, so maybe since we are talking about students, I would just follow up by coming to our colleague over here. Has AI changed the way you learn, or how exactly is it playing out in a typical classroom setting? How are you leveraging AI for your learning purposes?
Yeah, thank you. It has really changed the way I learn and some of my colleagues, with the sense that, you know, like what Lloyd spoke about, the chatbots, the tools that are being used, for example, the chats and Bard by Google. Now, I think it has made us more cautious about the things we search for and concerning some of the questions that are being thrown to us as students. Some of the assignments that are given to us, we tend to look at other options, like when we are searching for answers to these questions. It has made us more aware of the tools, like AI has made us aware of the tools that we can rely on to look for our answers from. Now, as to whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, what I would say is, as a student, it has benefited me, not in the sense that I just go and copy anything and dump for submission to a lecturer. I am of the view that whenever I'm answering a question or whenever I'm studying something, what is the end game? Prof made a very good statement in his welcome address that the mind, the goal should be changed. I study to try and understand concepts, not necessarily to produce the right answer for a lecturer. So even sometimes these tools produce wrong answers. There are instances where, especially with mathematical questions, you put a question there and the answer it gives you is not the right answer. So sometimes you have to understand, you are learning to understand a concept for future application. So these are some of the ways it has helped me, because apart from the normal Google search, we use some of these tools to do searches, to read ahead, get more understanding beyond what the lecturer has told us and beyond other resources we may have read from, just to do some juxtaposition to find out what has been taken away, what we can add on to our schoolwork. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I've seen there are some questions coming in from our online participants. Please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box. We'll read them once it's time for the Q&A session. At this point, we would like to invite Mr. Daniel Govo, who is joining us from the Great Zimbabwe University. Basically, coming from the point of view of a university administrator, would want him to tell us about how AI is being leveraged to strengthen administrative the managerial functions in a typical African university, using maybe his university as a case study. If he can hear us.
Yes, thank you, Felicia, and a good afternoon to you all. I don't know about other parts of Africa, but where I'm joining from in Zimbabwe, it's now in the afternoon. Can you all hear me? Felicia, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, but would love to see you on the screen. Is your camera on?
I'm turning on my video now.
Okay.
I hope you can see me.
Yes, we can now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So to answer your question, I would say that judging from the events of the few past days, it has shown that artificial intelligence has been adopted and is being fairly used across higher education institutions in Africa, including here in Zimbabwe. And as for Great Zimbabwe University, what we have, our efforts so far currently for strengthening is focused on strengthening the administration and managerial functions by use of chatbots and virtual assistants that are artificial intelligence driven. And this, we also hope it will improve in the decision making by providing decision support systems for our senior management to make decisions. And for data-driven decision making, would say development of artificial intelligence decision support systems for the university leadership and predictive analytics and artificial intelligence models will be used to enhance administrative functions, optimize resource allocation, and as well as improve enrollment and retention rates on the students that would have managed to enroll during a particular period of start. So the evolution of Africa, of artificial intelligence in Africa, and its promises it's promising to be very transformative. And we hope that the continued use of artificial intelligence will also enhance accessibility. This is one thing that we have been working on to ensure that we have automatic transcription, translation, and voice recognition technologies, all driven by artificial intelligence, and make the content more accessible to a diverse student board. We also hope that this will increase the personalized learning experience for our students. And in the areas of science subjects teaching, the teaching of science subjects and other STEM-related subjects, we hope to see the use of artificial intelligence in virtual and augmented reality, as well as the use and application of chatbots and artificial intelligence tutors, which will help our students with their assignments and start materials. And another area also is the issue of adaptive assessments, which we hope that by using artificial-driven assessment tools, it will enable the real-time feedback and adaptive testing. Thank you.
I think you are breaking.
I'm not hearing you properly.
So I'll come back to
Maybe
you.
it's my network or...
just to let recorded by.
Hello, Felicia. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm also struggling to hear you.
scientist who came to speak with us. So as he mentioned his name, at the time I was still CEO of Rankard, as he mentioned his name and where he was continuing to practice as an adjunct professor and his work, I had to almost, burst out. Crumbs, we're actually using your NLP libraries back at Rankard in work we're doing. As in, the chief AI scientist at Salesforce was an adjunct professor at Stanford. And later on, what I learned was literally all the major heads of AI and all the major technology platforms are all adjunct or associate professors in universities. And a lot of the work that they are advancing, in fact, the transformer neural network model was actually a collaboration between University of Toronto and Google, which came out in 2017. So the work that we're seeing OpenAI having put out that we're all using with ChatGPT today is baked fresh from academia, but in collaboration with industry. And if you look at the two sides of that equation, industry is pretty good at understanding market opportunities and mobilizing the resources it takes to scale to get market adoption. So OpenAI's approach to releasing ChatGPT as a platform that grew to 100 million users in the first couple of months is something that traditionally industry is very good at achieving. However, the capabilities that make the tool and the platform so profound, if you like, came out of academic research, because you require that kind of time, patient capacity, which can only really be harnessed in the halls of places like this to build that kind of groundbreaking and breakthrough technological research. So the models show consistently, if you go back to Bell Labs in the 70s and all the major technological breakthroughs, and even earlier, the transistor, what ultimately led to the founding of Fairchild Semiconductor, how Intel came out of that, how the advancing of the microchip and memory and the personal computer we have today, all of it finds its roots in academic research. In many cases, also spurred by governments. In many cases, to the discomfort of many people, spurred by war and the needs of mobilizing large troops to go out there and build implements and tools to conquer others. And that will go all the way back in history. If you go and you study the conquests of Alexander the Great in the 4th century BC, he always had his architects and his engineers and his philosophers with him in the field. Anytime he encountered a major obstacle, they were the people he would turn to, his mathematicians, to draw, to define, to design, and deploy solutions to overcome. Today, we want to translate these same traits to overcome the wars we're fighting in food and hunger, in agriculture, if you like, the wars we're fighting in disease and healthcare problems we're facing every day. Prof was talking about the ACET research not having, having outlined lots of gaps, and you made mention that the gaps are always there. Once you talk about gaps as a researcher, as a problem solver, as an engineer, it's usually because you want to move on to strategies and solutions. I think that's often where the marrying of academia and industry really needs to occur. And in the African context, we need a whole lot more of that. We need to, whether it's going to be academia banging on the doors of industry more, industry dragging academia out of the lab more to go out there and solve real problems. We have real large-scale opportunities as a continent. We can call them gaps, we can call them challenges, we can call them problems, but they are ultimately on the flip side of the same coin. They are opportunities. And I think we should begin to translate them from the opportunity in the market to the research in the labs, in the universities, collaborate more closely, work on these. And that's ultimately where I think transformation, the transformation that we're all looking for, as Africans ought to be found. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just to follow up, you did refer to the research which Prof spoke about. I want to understand, at a higher level, at the world forums, at the world conferences organized for AI, do we think Africa is visible enough? Are voices being heard? Are we really contributing to the discourse, or we are merely being consumers of, AI products at the end of the day?
I think it's an excellent question, but it's also somewhat misplaced. We don't at this stage, and Prof also referred to the need to leapfrog, right? So that means we know where we are. We are a bit behind, and we need to project ourselves into the realm of relevance. We don't need to be overly concerned with having a profound voice in the discourse happening at all the high levels on a global stage. It's probably a time when we need to pull back a bit, do some proper framing of what the opportunities and the areas that we need to focus on as Africans. And you can look at this at either a continental level or at a national level or even at a subnational level, and align our focus and resources to those. So what I'm arguing is that there's an extent to which policy-wise, we need to kind of pull away from the global discourse. The global discourse today, and I think many Africans who are enthusiasts in the field and experts in the field are almost finding themselves falling in line with this. Prof talked about gaps earlier. It's bias, and all the safety and risk concerns with AI. I shared this, I think, 2-3 weeks ago at the IMF annual meetings on a panel in Marrakech. If you want to build a big fire for whatever purpose you want out of it, for light, for heat, for the energy output, right? But you haven't been able to kindle a little fire yet, your primary concern is not safety and regulation. It is being able to pull together the innovation to kindle that fire. From there, you want to nurture it. In nurturing it, you typically have to go near it, do things to it, stoke it a little bit. Once you've gotten it to a point where you realize it's as dangerous as it is potent for the outcome you wanted, that's when you're going to start bringing forward some defense mechanisms, safety mechanisms, and so on. That may be where large language platforms that the Googles and the OpenAIs of this world have that we're exposed to today are. But to the extent that we have unique problems that are local, that are nuanced, that are contextualized in our understanding, and that there is a need for African institutions and industry to not only adopt existing platforms out there, but to build our own capacities and capabilities, to harness our own data assets, to build the skills, the data science and AI skills to be able to build and train models, to own the infrastructure, the compute power and the storage to be able to harness all of this. Then we need to take a slightly different stance, a bit of a different nature from the discourse on the global stage, which is about regulation, and who can safely manage the large and powerful platforms out there. Certainly, we should have a seat. Certainly, we should pay attention, but definitely we ought to look at the fact that we're at a different stage. We need to have a different focus, and we need to do all it takes to leapfrog, but focused on problems and challenges and opportunities ultimately that are of an African and the local nature.
Well, I agree totally with Mr. Datze's submissions. Like I mentioned when I was giving the keynote, there are two aspects, leapfrogging and catching up. We can't keep playing that catching up all the time. You are not original. You see, I'd worked in several places, and most of the places I'd worked, it's always pioneering. When you are pioneering, sometimes when you are pioneering, you even find yourself facing disciplinary panel for taking your initiative to do something that it's not that it's not within the policy, but it's something they are thinking of doing in another 5 years. But you are ahead of them. So one of the reasons technologies don't work in Africa, like I said, is because technologies were not made by Africans for Africans to address African issues. So anywhere you break ground, there will be dust. Those who don't want to smell the dust or feel it, they can't do much. So the next best thing to do is to allow the dust to settle, and then you see clearly. But we are tagging with those who are broken the ground. Dust are settled. They're already cruising, and they're facing their destination. And we are keying into that. When they were breaking the dust, the grounds, we were not there. Our ground was not part of what was broken. The dust has not even risen up, talk less of settling on our own ground. And we are leapfrogging to where they are and moving on with them in consonance. So we're not going to make progress like that. So like he said, to make a big fire, you need to first of all light a little, the match is just one stick. We have not even lit that much. So we are tagging with people. I didn't get there in my presentation, but it's there. We are tagging with people who are already ahead of us and creating fear, so to say, in our mind about the technology that is already working for them. That is, it's contextualizing their own culture. And then we are tagging along with them, trying to solve the fear problem that the technology has created. It has solved 100 problems before it created that fear. We have not even solved one. And we are trying to solve the fear problem. So it's a challenge. And so that's why we need to allow our students, like he said, to have original thinking. Let them do like I learned that I was on MIT campus for about 4 months. And I learned that when MIT wants to take you in for a graduate program, one of the questions they ask you is, are you a deviant? What have you done that nobody has done and everybody complained about it? They want that kind of student. So those are the kind of people we need in this space. People who can think outside the box, so to say. People who can come and tell us. There's one of my students yesterday. We sat under the tree of life there. And he was telling me he wants to do something about autism. He wants to develop an AI system that works for autistic students. And he was almost chickening out. Then I sat him down. And I told him, my kids, the two first set of twins in Nigeria, I sent them to a secondary school for the disabled, where you have the deaf, the dumb, the autistic. I sent them there. And it was deliberate because my daughter was saying that she wants to read law. I don't have any problem with her reading law. But I thought ahead of her. And I realized that the disabled don't usually have lawyers who specialize in their area to represent them. Now she's in the US. You still want to read law? I asked, yes. Now I said, if you do law here and you specialize on the disabled, because now she can do sign language, herself and her brother, they can throw me off. I will not know what they are saying. Just be doing like this inside the house. I said, these kids will sell me very soon. So like he said, we need that traction first to be able to break the ground. For instance, we have an AI program here at Academic City. We're not tying our students to the curriculum. We want them to shake us in the classroom. We want them to see us on the corridor and say, Prof, this is what I'm thinking. I want to go crazy. Last 2 years, a student developed an office assistant here, like a robot that I can tell him, take this phone to Lloyd. It will move around the corridor, navigate, and then drop it. So, madam, what he is saying is the absolute truth. We need to be able to break our grounds here and not allow policy issues, ethical issues, security issues to stifle developments. These things can stifle development. In as much as they are golden, they are good. But for us starting, that's not where we need to focus our attention on. We need to focus our attention on how to break the grounds. And then after breaking the ground, let me tell you something, I will close. When you buy a car, when you import a car from Canada, let me talk about Edmonton, Alberta, because I was there sometimes and the temperature was minus 55. If you bring that car here, it will overheat. The radiator will burn off. So if your policy for automobile is based on a car that is imported from Alberta, where do you land yourself? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. It means he agrees with what you are saying. As academics, we usually say there's that adage of publish or perish. So I would go to our online panelist, Dr. Ginga Deep Singh, who works with Taylor and Francis. we want to understand what the current trend in the publishing industry has been as relates to research and AI. We understand there are AI published papers. So these are not human beings publishing a paper, but a chat GTP publishing and saying that, this is the source. So we want to understand how AI is disrupting the publishing industry, and then maybe I'll follow up with some questions. If Dr. Gengadip is connected, please, you have the floor.
I am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I think, first of all, thank you for making me part of this very insightful session. And I really want to agree with what Prof and other distinguished panel members are saying, that,
sorry, can you speak up a little bit? We are struggling to hear you.
Okay. So I have been now working in this sub-Saharan African region for now around 3 years. And I think just taking a cue from what Prof said, that the research needs to come from Africa. Otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult, unless until we have groundbreaking research activities.
Sorry, Doc, I think we are still struggling to hear you from here.
Okay, just give me a second. Let me change my...
All right, Doc. Sorry about that.
Yeah, is it better now?
Yes, it's better.
Yeah, okay. So I was just saying that yes, I do agree with all the enlightened panelists that the more research needs to come from this region. Importantly, whatever we talk here, the culmination point for this is when the research is actually published. So you talked about AI published articles. So that's a very new thing for all the publishers in the world. Recently, a German-based publisher, they have come up with a new tool which can write manuscripts for the researchers. But I think people are still, no matter how easy the AI articles seem to be, they're easy to produce, but I think people are still getting used to the AI published articles. Means we are not getting many evidences that people are comfortable using. Because when you do research, you publish a paper, that is one aspect. But the other aspect is other people referencing that paper. So the real challenge starts when people start referencing to those papers. So that's why people are still not very comfortable. Although a lot of tools are there to produce the papers, you can see Chat, GPT, and other things. But few questions I just want to raise for it's as a food for thought for our audience here. I think we really need to see that what should be the extent of usage of AI when we write an article. When we submit it to your professors for evaluation versus when we submit it to any publisher. So what's the extent of use? And of course, one question which we are asked so much, that how do we cite an AI article? How do we do this citation? So the interesting answer, as per the American Publishers Association, which of course that's a very paramount body, is that whenever you cite any AI generated paper, you have to cite it as personal communication. So why personal communication? Because you're putting some input and then you're getting some results. So that's your personal communication with the chatbot. Now, other thing which publishers currently are working is that how to ensure that AI systems are aligned with the human values, because we have seen a couple of papers in which it was completely written by chatbots and it got caught and then we had to reject it. Means I'm of the view that that researchers are not going to completely trust the generative large language models to produce papers and submit under their name. I think most of the times what we are also now suggesting to the researchers when they submit paper is that they use it ethically just to speed things up, especially in countries like India, in Africa, where our native tongue is not English. And we know that certain biases do exist when papers are rejected on the basis of language. So I feel more and more researchers, as they are getting aware, they are using this AI tools to get up to speed to the language and other syntax issues. And one last point I want to emphasize is that is the AI systems able to produce a unique content? That's the large question. It can seem unique, but is it as unique? Because all the AI systems are as good as the humans they make it. So the better its training is, the better AI system gets. So if the data sets on which the AI system is trained are unstructured or picked from a larger Microsoft cloud, you never know what is the origin, and the data may sound and look unique, but it is not that unique. And also one last point is that when we use AI, we can, as a publisher, we are now anticipating that the more content will be generated. More the content is generated, quantity increases, quality comes down, and eventually publishers will be under pressure, because at the end of the day, whenever somebody submits a research paper, it needs a human eye analysis at the end of the day, which is called the peer review. So these are the few points we are still grappling with, and that's why you will see more and more global publishers. We are still not clear. The policies are being formulated, and we are just taking it day by day. Thank you.
And thank you very much also for stressing on ethical considerations in terms of how we leverage AI for our publishing. There are a lot of questions that have come in via the Zoom. So I believe as we respond to them, the other issues which we may not have touched on would come up. But just before I start reading them out, maybe I would like to hear from our student panelists. I mean, it's a well-established fact that AI has come to stay. So I want you to give us a sense of what some of the core skills that are critical, which a student should acquire to be able to adapt to the current space, and how do students even go about building those set of skills?
Thank you. One skill that comes to mind is curiosity. You should, as a student, you should be curious, consistently ask important questions to get the right answers concerning the AI space or the tools or the technology itself. And another is the ability to adapt, to be flexible and adapt to the current happenings in the AI space. The AI, we all know, is here to stay. It has come to bring a lot of good. But in understanding it, we are supposed to know where to apply it, like Prof said, to help in breaking the ground in the space. And another thing too is we should be collaborative. We all have ideas from academia to the industry and other sectors. We should all come together, share ideas, and spearhead this technology in the African context. These are some of the skills I think as a student we should have. And the way we can harness these skills, I think we have to learn more from our professors, our lecturers, the staff, the faculty on campus. Like Prof said in the keynote address, that it's not necessarily all about the transcripts, but it's about life. These are some of the valuable skills that will take us years ahead, will make us thrive in our future careers. So we should be willing, humble enough to ask the questions and to also take from our seniors, from the elderly, older generation. And I think that's what's going to help us as students move on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I would dive straight to the question and answer session. I'll take the first question from Zoom from Ayele Yuma, who says AI offers several benefits for the university teaching and learning, including improved accessibility, tutoring, automated grading and administration, and streamlined workflows. But for rural areas of the country, how can we achieve the objectives with technology? What's the way forward for Africa? So I don't know if any of our panelists would want to take that.
Okay, I'll attempt that. There was a framework I used to apply when in my days as a product engineer in trying to design a system that would work for a target market. And it was the 3 L's: language, literacy, lifestyle. That either one of these or any combination of these might be the way in which some target population engages that you need to take into consideration. So if it's language, then you're looking at the context of what language they speak. That may be different from what you typically develop product interfaces in. If it's literacy, then you are considering whether the way in which we read and write as we are is the way in which they engage with content or product interfaces. And there may also be a language component there. If it's lifestyle, then you're looking at the choices that they make. As an example, some people use WhatsApp by writing a lot. Some people use WhatsApp by sharing lots of videos. And some people record voice notes as their way of communicating. Then you can layer in language. Maybe they record voice notes in a particular language. And so depending on who they are trying to communicate with, maybe if they are a trader in Agbogbloshie trying to engage with an exporter in China or in Philippines, then it would be neat if they could do a voice note in Ga, and whoever is listening to it, who plays it back, would have it automatically translated in whatever language they appreciate. That's what the power of AI and technology generally should be able to achieve. Increasingly, it should improve the way vulnerable communities and minority communities and populations are able to access the services that others are always and easily able to engage. I think the opportunities with AI to advance computer interfaces, and today with generative AI, what we are enjoying mainly is that to engage high-powered computers, you no longer need to write codes and you no longer need programming. You can use natural language and prompt engineering to engage. And I think increasingly that's what we're going to see. And it's even the more reason why the African context needs to be intentional in what we're designing and building. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. There's another question which I would address to Mr. Lloyd because he's an AI expert. But before you do that, I understand there's a hand up, so we would want to give the opportunity to Prof to ask his question. But the question you would be responding to when we are back from Prof is from Professor Nelson Boniface from the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. And he says, where does AI start? Is data processing using Excel and the like AI, or we need automated systems? So that's his question. But before you respond to that, I think I would like to give the opportunity, or would go all the way to Mozambique and to listen to Prof. Martin Jomo, who has his hand up. So Prof, you have the floor. You can please ask your question.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Professor Martin Jomo Chineboa, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Universidade Aberta UNICEF in Mozambique. I need to ask this question because I may leave very soon for the airport. During the address by the keynote speaker, he mentioned some challenges to innovation, but forgot to mention one major challenge which universities face, which is the stranglehold of the cost of bandwidth. We're talking about AI, which is data intensive, bandwidth intensive, and computational power intensive. And cost of bandwidth is very, very high in Africa. We can say whatever we want to say or talk about whatever we want to talk about. If this problem is not addressed, no matter what we do, we will still lag behind. And this is something we, the academicians, have to take up with the government, because the cost of bandwidth is because of the tariffs the governments impose on bandwidth. We have a lot of fiber running along the coast of Africa, which carry a total of about 10 petabytes. And a petabyte is a huge figure. A petabyte is one with 15 zeros. But cost of bandwidth is very, very high. And unless we address this issue of the cost of bandwidth, we may not get anywhere with whatever we are doing. So we, as the academicians, what are we doing to address this issue?
Mr. Lloyd, to respond to the other question I read, but you can also make some comments about Prof's submission.
I think that question was for you, Prof.
Thank you very much. When we mention infrastructure, the issue of bandwidths are already captured. It's a subset of it anyway. And then when I was talking about governance in response to the first question on this panel, I think I mentioned the issue of bandwidth as well as something that usually even governance, because it is not something that is tangible that they can see, at times it becomes a lot of problem in some universities when you're trying to push even for more bandwidth. Let me just speak like an African at this point. Sometimes we push, but we don't push hard enough. I once flew in a plane towards Vancouver, and I was sitting by the side of a lady who happened to be a pilot in the US Air Force. And she asked me, where am I from? And I said, I'm from Africa. I didn't say I was from Nigeria. She said, I'm from Africa, because she may not even understand where Nigeria is. And so she made a statement. I was wondering why she had to respond to me with that statement. She said, you Africans, you work very hard, but you don't work smart. That's what she said. So you Africans, you work so hard, but you don't work smart. We have one single person in Africa who can finance the whole bandwidth we're talking about. But they would rather use that money to throw parties. In Nigeria lately, I saw a party where they tied a goat to every chair. That's the takeaway. And we are saying there's no money. That's the takeaway. In Nigeria lately, I saw a video where some of our senators are having a good time, and the bottle of wine there is $7,000 US. And we're saying there's no money to fund bandwidth. When I was in Heidelberg, I used to shout when I was at MIT that the university was 144 years old. Julius, we were in Germany. When I was in Heidelberg, the university was 670 something years old. And just one alumni who was a student in that university during the Second World War. There's a castle in Heidelberg that was not destroyed. It survived both the First and Second World War. Just one alumni came back to that university and built an entirely new library for the entire university. Just one alumni. Just one person came back. So the students that we train, what do we put in their head? In the US, the strength of most universities, even in Canada, are the alumni. My department in Benin got burnt. We were gathering money, and just one of us who worked with UBA, just one student who finished from that department, worked with UBA, got the United Bank of Africa to build a new department for us, put 5 ATMs there, put computers there, new offices for the lecturers, new furniture, and case closed. We stopped collecting money because just one person. So what are we putting in their head when they are going through us? So sometimes what we need to scale has passed through our hand at some point in time, but we fail to see it. In governance, in Nigeria, they said lecturers are some of the worst paid people. Those who were setting the wages at the National Wages Commission, they passed through the university. Why are they not interested in paying those who train them? Why are they not interested in paying them well? So the challenge is within us, how we allocate resources. In Heidelberg, right from the airport, there's free internet all over that city. I've never been to a place like that in my life. As you enter the airport, you have internet connected throughout my stay, all over the city. So in Africa, what is the African Union doing? This is Association of African Universities. In West Africa, to travel from Lagos to Accra by road is a problem. If I forget my passport in Heidelberg and I want to go to France, I want to go to Switzerland, I will travel as if I'm a native of any of those countries. Nobody will disturb me. But if I leave Lagos at Seme, they will check me. I get to Ilakoji, they will check me. I get to Aflao, they will check me. This, and we are saying, what do we call it? ECOWAS. And the passport all of us are using is what? ECOWAS passport, green. It's not working. But our leaders can gather here in Accra or anywhere and have a good time. I wonder what they deliberate some of those forums. This is not a political gathering anyway. So the resources are there. There is no place in the world that God put people and He doesn't put the resources they will need now or in the future. There is no place. Why is Dubai what it is today? They said it was dry land in 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. So the issue of bandwidth is something that my head of department in Ibadan used to say, make a statement. She said, if there's a will, there will be a way. In Nigeria, most of our leaders send their children to go to school abroad. We will do TED fund. We use 40 million naira to train just one person per year. If the British don't build good universities, where would we send them to? If we build good universities, why do we need to send them? And then they will finish, they will do projects that address problems in those countries, provide solutions for them, and they will not come back home. We lost both ways. So the bandwidth issue is something that can be addressed both at governmental, at regional, at international level. Why we are asking for more money from IMF and this, do we ever ask them for money for bandwidth? I stop there.
Thank you, Prof. You were responding. Okay, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the issue here is priority. We seem to be excited about the technologies that we are seeing now, like the impact of AI, but we are not interested in how are these things coming, how do we also contribute? And with the coming from academic or some educator, the key thing will be the data sets that we are using to train these models. Most of these data sets are funded by foreign organizations. What that means is that we need to come up with our own data sets that actually represent our terrain, actually solves our own problems. What is happening is that most of the data sets, because they are funded, they make it open. But in a data set that comes from Africa, maybe since you're here as an industry personnel, most of the industries, they hold on to their data set. They don't make it open to the universities to be able to train some of their models, be able to test some of the ideas. So it's more about priority, and it's about funding. And I also think that the government is not pushing enough, especially in this space. Elsewhere, the government is taking the bull by the horn. They are leading this conversation. And as we speak now, I'm not sure if they are interested in doing this. Maybe they have other priorities, but these are the things that AI is actually giving us the superpowers to do some of this. And the tools is giving you the superpowers. So it doesn't matter your field, where you're coming from, whether you're an accountant, you're in the market. These tools are the ones that will make you exceptional in whatever you're doing. If it's business, you need AI to do it. So coming from education, I think we need to reorganize ourselves, to look at where our aim is and be able to know where this money goes. There should be government-funded data sets that will make it open to every organization? Collaboration, I think it has been said across board. How do we also unite with other universities to be able to make some of these things open to all?
Okay, thank you very much. I think at this point, I would like to come to our in-person participants. Whether we have a contribution or a question, please raise your hand, and then Mr. Julius would come, and then we'll take your contribution. Do we have any hand up? Whilst he comes, I can read some of the comments from our online participants. I think this was in relation to industry academia relations. It's from Bethel Ukazu, who says that industry will not come to academia at this time. Academia needs to practically woo industry currently. Our industries are majorly fed by global knowledge base, the whole open knowledge, open data, and open science paradigm. Yes, we should take a different stance on the global discussion, focus on areas that are in tandem with our current realities, capacity, and aspirations. So maybe I would come to our industry expert to comment on what his thoughts are on this submission.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Yes, in some cases, academia has gone to industry in the form of academics taking their research work, establishing companies and rolling them out, and then ultimately being more embedded in industry. Many of us know of and have probably used the Coursera online learning platform. The founder, Andrew Ng, is a professor at Stanford. And he also, beyond having established Coursera, he actually has set up a venture capital platform to fund new AI startups. The founding of Google, there's a story that involved, for those of you who may remember the company Sun Microsystems. They used to make the old large computer servers. One of the founders of Sun Microsystems was a German called Andy Bechtolsheim, or Bechtolstein, depending on how you pronounce it. He'd migrated to the US. He went to Stanford University himself. I think that's where he met his co-founders and they started the company. So by the time Sergey and Larry, founders of Google, were students in Stanford, and they were working on their project, which was the Google search engine. And I think, again, that's a very important example of something that's cooked in academia and then goes out into industry. Speaking of which, Stanford retains royalties from the Google search engine. So the professor of Larry and Sergey looked at their work and called Andy Bechtolsheim, who by then was in industry. I think he semi-retired from Sun Microsystems, and said, look, I'm sitting with these young students here and the project they're working on, I think it's interesting, and I think it may be interesting to industry. So again, here is an academic reaching out. So Andy drives to his home in the morning. Larry and Sergey are there, and Andy basically shows up, sees them, and then goes, oh, crumbs, I have a meeting, I'm late. What's the company called? The young man said, Google Inc. So he takes out his checkbook, he writes a check, 100,000 USD, Google Inc., and then leaves. He didn't waste much time talking, staying around. The reason was the people he saw were him. He was that student many years ago. Prof, the point you make about what we are putting in the heads of our students, but also how we are holding their hands, how we are interacting with them is key. Because the fact that the professor had the confidence to call Andy, and Andy came, saw him, saw his students, and didn't need to interrogate, do any long due diligence. By the way, the company had not been incorporated yet. The check they kept for about 1 year before they even went in and cashed it. There are many stories like that. Silicon Valley is not a tech park. And I wrote a small concept note on this when we were going with the vice president on the visit. It's a virtuous triangle. One aspect of it is academia. The other aspect is industry. And then the third aspect is the venture capital finance industry. And it's a virtuous triangle because in the Silicon Valley context, they all kind of know each other. At the heart of it is Stanford University. And then you have people from there who go and found companies, and then some who go and become financiers, and the triangle just keeps feeding up itself. Yes, there are other institutions, Carnegie Mellon, Berkeley, and others. There's also the MIT caucus and what they do. But the question I would like to put to AAU and to Academic City and other universities in this forum really is, how are you thinking about not only engaging industry, but spurring industry, creating industry, pushing your students to go out there and create opportunities, but also reaching out to your friends and collaborators whom you studied with, who are in industry, and calling them in to look at your students' work and to support them and to collaborate with them.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think at this point we would have your final comments. I would read the questions that have come through Zoom, and in your 1 minute final remarks, please address some of these questions, and then you also give your final remarks in terms of the way forward, all in 1 minute, unfortunately. So I'll just read the questions quickly. One says, AI in indigenous languages, how feasible? This is from Dr. Tola Olajuwon from Lagos State University of Education. This other one is from Emmanuel Beve, who is the CTO IDEC Digital Center of Excellence. And he says that artificial intelligence techniques are being utilized more often in higher education to improve both student and instructor learning. An extensive analysis of AI in higher education from 2016 to 2022 found that the technology has been applied to controlling student learning, assessment, and evaluation. It's crucial to remember, though, that AI technologies shouldn't take the place of traditional teaching techniques or human teachers. AI tools ought to be utilized to improve and augment the educational process. I think that's a comment. This other one says, this AAU forum on AI is Africa lighting a fire. So he's appreciating the session. This one says, my name is Mohammed Najumuddin Abdullahi from University of Cape Coast, Ghana. My question is, how do we link AI with the fourth industrial revolution in education? Secondly, what are the risks of AI on programming in the next 5 years? Thank you. So I think these are the questions. I understand some of them have been responded to, but if there's none, if there's any that hasn't been responded to, let's please do so. One last one from Daniel Gugu. Moderator, please find out. No, this is from Dr. Bariham Idrusu. Moderator, please find out from the professor what policy frameworks are in place to inform the adoption and use of AI in his university. So we all have 1 minute each for our final remarks, but please feel free to quickly chip in and respond to any of these. So we'll start from Prof. and then come all the way to our student panel.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think to light a fire, we need just a small, and then one fire can light another. I want to say that what we have done here today is just to spark it off. We shouldn't rest on our horse. We should continue the collaboration. We hopefully, AAU will provide a platform that can connect all of us at any point in time. I want to say that from this particular event, let there be a communique that goes to government. At least one day, somebody will pick it up and read it and say, oh, we can run with this. And I believe, we can all do that. So let's continue to light the fire wherever we go to. Let's break grants, let the dust settle, and then we're good to go. All questions cannot be answered in a forum like this, but you can make our email addresses available. We can talk to anybody who has questions for us. Thank you.
So I would like to say that for those who are scared of AI and ask a lot of questions, like where are we going? We don't need to do this. So AI is actually not coming for your jobs, but it's said that people with AI will come for your job, and I think that explains a lot. If there's a need for us to understand some of these things, be able to know how to build them and how to use them for our advantage. Else somebody who has the skills will come for your job. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof made a comment when he was giving his keynote about the 76-year-old lady who was going to do the physics PhD, that every subject is a language. And I thought you were referring vicariously to the capability of large language models, why such models have been able to represent so much of human thought, meaning, culture, computational ability, and all of that. I was having a discussion with someone yesterday about a briefing note we had to put together, AI related. And the question of language came up, African indigenous languages, and we talked about some of the issues that were raised at the deep learning in Daba in September. I met Julius there. Lots of people were complaining that the current foundation models, large language models, were butchering our African languages for those who were trying to build those capabilities there, and that we needed to use an original corpus of data from a local context and all of that. I agreed but disagree. If you use your traditional recurrent neural networks and you go the traditional approach of trying to build a large corpus of data in any of our languages, and you go that path to try and build that kind of unique traditional AI capability, it's going to take a while, and it has been taking us a while. If you adopt the foundation models, you're going to start with a few bumps, lots of errors, but you go much faster. And sometimes the leapfrogging question requires that in engineering, rather than building from scratch, you adopt something and you adapt it to your use. So in wrapping up, last night, in the midst of that conversation, I asked ChatGPT, can you speak Twi? That's my mother tongue. ChatGPT answered to say, I don't have the ability to speak languages. I can only provide text-based responses. If you have any questions, blah, 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 blah. Then I pushed a little further and I wrote, Wuti Twi ana? Then it responded, and forgive my poor reading in Twi. Mini adia so, me pese me jin Twi senya ebeya ye freme so. Emma memfa mukasa senya ebeya ebekoso. I mean, I have the evidence here. It was responding, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. What I will say as a student is AI is fun. It's interesting. I would like to even thank the faculty on this campus, the president, for rolling out this flagship course and for enabling us learn the technicalities of artificial intelligence. It's been very eye-opening, and it feels like we sort of have some superpower because we are now thinking about the problems around us and how best we could use what we've learned in solving the problems, and to the feasibility of our local languages. There's a lecturer in UCC, Stephen Moore, and I think he made some headlines, I think some months ago, where Google gave him some funding to develop something to in our local languages. So I think back to what Prof. Olumide said, the money is there. I mean, if one individual can raise a bent down department, I mean, the sky is the limit. In fact, we can do much more. So we still have to keep pushing, keep asking, and provide proof that whatever we are building is in here for good to solve pressing issues. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we would have final remarks from our online panelists. Would want to invite Dr. Gingadip, joining us all the way from India, for his final remarks.
Hi, thank you, ma'am, once again. I think my final comments is that everybody wants to see more content coming out from this region. I can equate this with India because in India 10 years back, the content was at the same position. more content comes in, more research travels worldwide, more people know, and more people become sensitive to that every region has their own needs, and whatever content they develop needs to be respected. So if AI assists in that, my best wishes to all the researchers. And means no matter what publisher you do publish with, but I think on a large, people should be encouraged to publish, because that's the only way where you can share your knowledge with the other scholarly communities and maybe public at large. So my best wishes to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We move on to Zimbabwe, Mr. Daniel Gogo.
Thank you, Felicia. I would like to say that I agree more with what Prof. Longe said regarding developing solutions for Africa by Africans. And I would want to part with these words saying, I know artificial intelligence has generated a lot of anxiety amongst people in Africa or across the world. And one of the fears or the challenges has been the loss of their jobs, as well as the increased cybersecurity attacks due to artificial intelligence tools being used. But I would like to encourage each and everyone to maybe focus more on the positives and see how we can use artificial intelligence to our advantage. As for lecturers and those in the teaching side of things, I would want to encourage them not to be left behind, but to also enroll into capacity building courses so that they can understand more how artificial intelligence is used. Not to just view it as a tool that will be used by students to quickly write their assignments, but to look at the positive side and see how they can embrace artificial intelligence to enhance their teaching, as well as for those in administration, how to enhance their managerial and administrative functions, as well as improving our security for our systems. Because wherever digitalization is talked of, we also need to talk of information security. I thank you.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of our high-level panel discussion. We want to acknowledge our panelists, Professor Olumude Longi, Mr. Kofi Dazi from industry, Mr. Eyram Kujo, our AI student, Dr. Gingadip Singh for staying tuned, Mr. Lloyd Thompson for all the contributions and the high-level discussions, as well as Mr. Daniel Govo. We really appreciate you for your insights. Like you rightly said, this is not the end of the discussion, and we believe we would have the opportunity to engage with all of you further. We also want to thank our in-person participants as well as our online participants for being very active and for staying throughout. At this point, I think we can wrap up the session with a resounding round of applause to our panelists. Whilst I call Julius.
So as they take their seats, I would kindly like to invite Miss Nudomo Damini. I hope I got the name right. She's the Director of ICT Services, Communications and Knowledge Management at AAU. We would like her to give the closing remarks. An official closing, yeah.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Professor Olushola Oyewole, the Secretary General of the Association of African Universities, it has been an honor to be among such accomplished individuals, both physically and online, in this amazing academic city university college campus. We were able to share our perspectives on the AI revolution. We learned today that we must guard against digital colonization. Universities must have institutional budgets for ICT. AI is revolutionizing how universities handle their core business. The AI revolution might inspire university-industry collaborations. Industry understands market opportunities. The research and intellectual capabilities come from academic and research institutions. We need to consider pulling back and doing proper reframing of what AI means to Africa and for Africa. We must nurture innovations and own the required infrastructure. We need to build the traction and reduce overexcitement. How do we cite AI-generated data? We must consider aligning AI systems to human values. The skills of curiosity, collaborating, and adapting are very important. It's about life skills for the students and not just about the transcripts. So what are we putting in the heads of our students? AI is data intensive, computational intensive, and bandwidth intensive. What are we doing to address the cost of bandwidth? Because it remains a challenge. Thank you for the call to action by Professor Olumide Longe through the suggestions that he gave to the Association of African Universities. Thank you to the President of Academic City University College, Professor Fred, for allowing us to come to his campus. Thank you also to our keynote speaker, Professor Longe, and to the esteemed panelists for a very engaging session. Thank you to our moderator, Mrs. Felicia Kwabeji. Thank you to our dedicated online participants. Thank you to the staff and students of Academic City University College. Thank you to all our guests and the AAU staff that worked very hard together with this university to put up this program. A special thank you to our guests who came from outside the continent. Thank you very much for joining us. I wish all of us a good day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I need to pick the program. On the program, the next session is photography, and then we also have exhibitions, and we'll undertake a quick tour of the campus and have refreshments and networking. So we'll guide you through all that process. But before we come forward to take the photograph, we have a little token that we wanted to give to our host. So I would like to invite forward Madame Nodumo and Professor Ama to help us with the presentations. I think we would want the Academic City team to come closer. In case the dignitaries are not here, we would want someone to stand in and receive the gifts on their behalf. So the first item goes to the Vice Chancellor. Is a token from us. It's actually our AAU cloth, which we are all wearing. This is representing Africa, and we think we would love to see him wear our uniform. So the first presentation is made to the Vice President, the President of Academic City University College. Thank you for receiving it on his behalf. The next one goes to our keynote presenter. So he's going to come here twice. This is a token from us, the Association of African Universities, appreciating all the work you have done in the organization. And we've had several meetings. We really want to thank you for all your efforts. And then we have a presentation to Dr. Lucy Ejapon, who was here earlier. We engaged her. I think the first time we had a meeting, we engaged her. And I mean, she was quick to accept that the university would host, and we've been working with the team throughout. So yes, please. So it's being received on her behalf. We really appreciate, and next time we visit, we want to see all of you in AAU Atta. And then we have a package for all the hardworking team members. We have Nelly, we have Julius, we have Lloyd. It's a whole team, an LOC that we have been engaging with. So we'll present it together, and it is to the team. It's a token from us, the AAU, saying thank you for all the hard work. Yes, please. Okay. So thank you all very much. And to you, Julius, as well. Okay. Yes, please. That's Nelly. She is the head of communications who we have been engaging with very closely. I understand I should add and marketing. She's the head of communications and marketing. Thank you very much. At this point, I would hand over. Thank you very much, Prof. I would hand over to Julius to take us through the photo session. Over to you.
So I want to believe it's been a wonderful time spent here discussing everything about AI. And I want to believe that we've had ideas and what have you to take home and possibly ruminate on them and possibly come out with solutions or ideas which will be birthed into solutions to make Africa a better place for all of us. On that note, I've been your MC, Julius. We will now take photographs. Shall we begin with Director of ICT, please come. Mrs. Felicia, please come as well. And then Professor, I want to get it right. Professor Ama, please come here as well. And then, so kindly be in the middle of a sort. You may want to move the background now to the flyer if you don't mind, and then we can do that. After that, our panel, please join them as well. And after that, all of us, please come as well. So just get ready to please come down, and then we can do that. Thank you. Okay, our panel, can you please join, Professor? Okay, okay, after the panelists, all AAU, no, come. All AAU staff, please come down. Director has asked me to ask all of you to join. So please, all AAU staff. All AAU staff, please come down. Are we done with them? Wait. All right, now all AAU staff. Yes. So whilst we take the photographs, after the AAU staff, the others, please join us as well.